Greetings, I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, with a mini video for my mini Juniversal Horror Month. A review of House of the Wolfman, as requested by longtime viewer Serpenthrope. Despite how it may initially appear, House of the Wolfman isn't a Universal monster film from the 40s. The movie was actually made by fans in 2009 as a throwback homage sequel, trying to be as faithful as possible to the style of Universal's early run of horror flicks. But what makes House of the Wolfman a little more than just a fan film is that its titular Wolfman was played by the real grandson of the original Wolfman, Lon Chaney Jr. Ron Chaney Jr. Yeah, the Chaney family was evidently very unoriginal naming their kids. A couple of years before the original Man of 1,000 Faces passed away, though, Lon Jr. begat another son, Lon Chaney III. But little information is known about this third Lon Chaney. He's the man of no faces since I couldn't find a fucking pic of him.
Surely you didn't think I would entrust my estate and research to just any simpleton off the street now, did you?
Since I recently covered the career of the original Lon Chaney with my Phantom of the Opera review, I figured it would be interesting to explore Chaney's legacy with this video, both figuratively and literally, as House of the Wolfman is a tribute to the films that Lon Chaney inspired, and it also stars his descendant, Alpha and Omega, the beginning and end.
Welcome.
House of the Wolfman, as its title suggests, is riffing on Universal's later monster films of the 40s that focused on crossovers, House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula. It's a sort of fan-made sequel to those flicks in particular. What if Universal just kept making these movies instead of lampooning them with Abbott and Costello?
In a half an hour, the moon will rise, and I'll turn into a wolf.
You and 20 million other guys.
Listen.
The premise of House of the Wolfman is that a Dr. Bela Reinhardt, played by Ron Chaney, has invited a group of strangers to his spooky, rain-swept castle to determine which of them shall be the inheritors of his estate.
Whoever inherits my estate will become the sole beneficiary of my family's notable scientific journals.
There's the red-blooded athlete Reed Chappell and his medical student sister Mary.
Let's just go home and forget this foolishness.
It only appears dreadful because of the weather.
Conrad Solomon, an expert on antiques.
Can I come in now? It's raining bananas out here.
Elmira Cray, a mysterious femme fatale.
I'm not on an auction block, and they don't need to know the goods.
And Archibald Whitlock, a famed hunter who's as fierce as he is incredibly racist towards his faithful footmen.
Leopold, you mindless savage!
Assisting Dr. Reinhardt in his inhospitable hospitality is Barlow, Dr. Reinhardt's grotesque, brutish manservant of the Tor Johnson variety.
I ask that you restrict your stay to your quarters unless accompanied by myself or Barlow.
The setup of this film is very similar to the Universal horror film The Old Dark House, down to the group of strangers trapped in a creepy building in a dark storm, with an equally creepy butler roaming about. It's just in the case of House of the Wolfman that the strangers come to this place willingly, in the hopes of inheriting some cash.
We'll see if it works out then, sis. I'll take the castle, you can have the dusty old books.
It's a cliche, but if you ask somebody to spend the night in a haunted house in exchange for some inheritance money, they're gonna always say yes, especially in this economy.
The only stipulation is that you spend one night in a haunted house. It's a standard clause.
Dr. Reinhardt ultimately reveals that his heir will be selected via a process of elimination.
My heir will be chosen by the process of elimination.
Which shows how desperate these people are for cash when they ignore this very obvious threat.
Name your contest and state your rules, good sir.
House of the Wolfman has a pretty good, authentic setup for a Universal monster film, and visually looks like the real deal, beyond just being black and white and featuring a 4:3 aspect ratio. From the opening shot of a rain-drenched castle miniature, to the stark lighting, and down to the eerie gothic sets of Reinhardt's estate, House of the Wolfman looks like it could be an actual entry in the Universal canon, but looks, unfortunately, are only skin deep.
Yeah, Doc. What's the rub? Why us?
House of the Wolfman is just 75 minutes long, the usual length of Universal's monster movies, but in comparison to a typical Universal monster film, House of the Wolfman feels really padded out despite its short runtime. It's just a pretty uneventful movie until its admittedly cool final act. The uneventfulness of House of the Wolfman could be blamed on it mainly riffing on the later run of Universal's monster movies when the studio was owned by the Standard Capital Corporation, and they were churning the movies out to keep the studio afloat during the war years. The monster movies of this era tended to be much lower budget, which meant they couldn't do much with their monsters for most of the film's runtime.
I can't go on waiting and killing and waiting.
The first 60 minutes of House of the Wolfman is setup, hints that a Wolfman is around, and some Scooby-Doo shit with a guy spying through the eyes in a portrait. But no monsters besides Barlow appear until the final 15 minutes of the movie. There aren't any deaths until the finale, anything exciting is saved until the ending of the film, which is admittedly true to Universal's low-rent later monster films. House of the Wolfman is a low-budget labor of love, so it's understandable that this would come with some limitations. The film ends up being mostly dialogue-heavy, like a lot of Universal's classic monster films had to be, but that's where another weakness of House of the Wolfman is revealed.
I will show you to your rooms. Barlow will notify you when it is time for supper.
The acting of most of the cast isn't very good, which shouldn't be surprising. It's basically a fan film and was probably limited to community theater actors. But with the movie relying mainly on dialogue to tell its story, the weak acting weakens the whole movie as a result.
I find indecisiveness and bashfulness to be weak, and I don't have time to be weak.
The acting of Universal's classic films wasn't necessarily amazing, but it was performed with passion, with feeling.
Everything is now ready for you and me to begin our supreme collaboration. Don't tell me of it. I don't want to hear.
Something lacking with House of the Wolfman. It just feels like the dialogue is being recited from memory mechanically.
If you think this sort of thing is funny, then you're demented. Please leave.
It's great that they got Lon Chaney Jr.'s grandson to be in this movie, but his performance is halting and monotonous.
I can have another prepared to your taste. Perhaps something more appetizing?
It seems like they wrote Ron Chaney's role of Dr. Reinhardt with this in mind when they found he couldn't really pull off the nuance to be a sympathetic Wolfman like his grandpop. Better to just make him a mad scientist. His dispassionate delivery could be seen as chilling, I guess.
Now, if you will pardon me, I shall retire for the evening.
The cast and their wardrobe look like the real deal, but once they start gabbing, it made the movie stop feeling like it could be a real movie from the 40s.
Why, that low-down snake in the grass.
Well, that, and also the scene where Elmira's in lingerie. I like what I see here, but no way a movie from the 40s could possibly get away with even this level of modest titillation.
Reed is my brother, not my husband.
I wasn't worried, honey. That never makes a difference.
Now, I don't like speaking ill of the acting in an indie passion project like this. They make do with what's available, but when you get past the cool-looking sets of House of the Wolfman, you're not left with much more to discuss beyond the acting.
I will find this beast and then offer him your position, so I may retain more intelligent company.
But I will highlight a couple members of the cast. Jeremy Lonka as Conrad Sullivan delivers a pretty peppy, campy performance.
Whitlock, the guy's a creep. He's a big, bullying, brutish buffoon.
But a real highlight of the film's cast delivers the only performance that truly feels authentic to the era. Saba Moore-Doucette, playing the amputee mother of Dr. Reinhardt, Vadoma.
My name is Vadoma.
And she's believable as a relative of Bela Lugosi's and Maria Ouspenskaya's characters from the original Wolfman.
He takes much after his father's side of the family.
It's fitting, then, that Vadoma serves as a direct tie to the classic monster movies, revealing that her brother was Bela, the doomed fortune teller, blighted by the werewolf curse in Wolfman, and that she married a Frankenstein.
Peter, we fell in love.
Well, hello!
Making Dr. Reinhardt, in reality, a Dr. Frankenstein who's also a Wolfman.
His name is Bela Frankenstein.
And it's also revealed that all of Reinhardt's guests are his illegitimate children.
You are my grandmother. We are the Reinhardts.
Which is just the kind of convoluted narrative a mid-40s Universal monster movie would have.
We are Frankenstein!
Speaking of which, the finale of House of the Wolfman is where the movie gets both more confusing, but also actually exciting, as Dr. Reinhardt transforms into a Wolfman, in the hopes that he passed his lycanthropy down to his children and potential heirs. But they aren't wolf people like dear old Dad, who's got a lot of missed years of beatings he needs to catch up on as the Wolfman kills the shit out of his kids, interrupted only by a Deus Ex Machina Frankenstein monster who is just chilling out for the whole movie. The monsters and the Wolfman's makeup are a great reimagining of the look of these characters, inspired by the Jack Pierce originals, but not quite the same, and the film realizes a fan-servicey fight between the two titans, not permissible in the original films, that's satisfying to watch, all the while seeing the Wolfman authentically bunny-hopping around as the monster tries to stomp him to death. Any semblance of a plot is pretty much thrown away, and it just becomes two monsters mindlessly fighting, but it's fun! It feels like the sequence the film filmmakers really wanted to do, and the rest of the movie was just a formality to give the film a full-length runtime. And adding on to the fan service, amidst the bloodshed, 2 of the survivors of the Monster Mash witnessed the arrival of Dracula, played by the late makeup effects artist Michael R. Thomas.
Is there anything you can do?
Not from out here, I'm afraid, my dear.
Complete with vampire brides who could use a facelift.
I have business with your father. I believe he's with an old friend as we speak.
Dracula doesn't get involved with the Wolfman and Monster brawl, though. He just hisses as the movie abruptly ends with no resolution. This anticlimax might have been due to the death of Michael R. Thomas, who the film is dedicated to, but you could just have the Frankenstein Monster trip on a lever that causes the castle to blow up like all the classics ended. House of the Wolfman is pretty good as an homage to Universal monster movies. The look of the film is authentic, but the weak acting and lack of horror for most of the movie really hurts it. I only really recommend watching the action-packed final 15 minutes of House of the Wolfman. The movie is free on Tubi and YouTube anyway, so you might as well give it a shot. I give House of the Wolfman a Ron Chaney Jr. out of Lon Chaney Jr.
Gentlemen.
Well, this movie was still better and more exciting than Lee Winnell's Wolfman remake. Now, before I go, I just want to give a shout out to my sponsor, me! Pledge to my Patreon today to support the channel, help it continue to grow, and you'll also get access to weekly movie nights every Sunday and archive commentaries if you missed the movie nights live. Just $5 a month to get a movie night every week. Here are the movies I'll be streaming next Sunday. Pledge to patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula if you're interested in my bonus streams, and I thank you in advance. If you liked this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more videos. I'd also like to thank these fine folks pledged to my shout-out tier on my Patreon for all of their kind support. Videos like this wouldn't be possible without all their help. Thank you for watching, see you next time. Doc signing out.